Guys, I have a new summer favorite to add to my list, and it is Black-Eyed Susan. We're going to take a look at 9 reasons why you too may want to have this added to your garden. My name is Marlene. Welcome to our Home and Garden channel. So Black-Eyed Susan, also known as Rebecca, is a wonderful flower that blooms from midsummer into early fall. So we're going to take at all of those reasons why it makes an excellent addition to just about any garden. So the first one would be that there are so many different varieties of Black-Eyed Susans. I feel like there is one for everyone. Look how small these ones are compared to the larger ones that you're seeing over it. Each works depending on the space you have and the height you want. Look at these ones over here. These ones are like a double or triple row of petals compared to the ones you saw just now. And the center starts off with a lighter color and it gets darker, as more time passes. But they're just so fluffy and they look so, so nice. You can see how they match up to the coneflower that's on the right over there. And they're in the same plant family. This one is called Speedy Z, or I should say Smiley Z or Speedy. I'm not sure how it gets the names, but that's what they're calling this one. I think it's so pretty. And then this one right here, this one has a more deeper coloration. The eyes are darker color. That's where the name Black-Eyed Susan come from, because the original ones are black, but they have the brown ones, and it's extending to the petals out there. And it just gives that nice, warm, late summer to fall feeling. Absolutely gorgeous. And they're not as tall, this variety that you're seeing here. This one right here is called Irish Eyes, and I would imagine because it has those green centers in there that don't turn brown or black. This one is called American Gold Rush. You can see the eyes are darker on this one. And this was, like late summer, early fall, so it's not looking as fresh as the others, but it's beautiful. This one is Goldstrom, and this is the one that I got in my garden, and boy, I absolutely am in love with them. Because, they're just 1 year old, and I thought maybe they would bloom just, a few, or maybe, not until the next year, but they certainly came out and gave a full show. Number 2 is that they're pretty low maintenance. They're pretty drought tolerant. They can take the heat. And so you water them maybe, once per week or twice if it's really hot and dry, and they'll be perfectly fine. Just take a look at that, guys. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? And they have little fuzzy hairs on them too, so that kind of helps them to, survive the heat. It kind of traps a layer of moisture so it doesn't evaporate as easily. Next thing is that they are midsummer to fall bloomers, as I was saying before. So when some of the other plants are getting a little tired in the garden, like the coneflowers and so on, they are coming up. So there's always something blooming, which is what I try to do in my garden for every month of the year. I try to have something that's blooming at that time. So this is how I got mine, and it's that they're easily propagated would be the next thing to look at. These were given to me by a dear fellow gardener, and she potted them up for me, just the cuttings, and this is how they were looking in the spring. And like I said, I honestly thought I wouldn't have gotten any blooms, but they did it so quickly, and this is how they look when I planted them out. After about 2 weeks or so, they were coming along so well. So guys, this was really a pleasant surprise, and many of them are biannuals, which means that in the second year they flower, but some of them are perennials. So, as the perennial story goes over the time, you get more and more from them. Number 5 would be that the seeds have pretty good germination. And these are in the daisy family, by the way, guys. So you can see the resemblance, they're similar to the coneflowers and daisies and so on. So you can, either buy seeds or you can collect the seeds when you're ready. But either way, you should have pretty good success with them when you're going to plant them out. And I'll be planting some for you in a moment to show you, how you go about doing it. But on the back of the container, it tells you like how to space them and all of that. So as far as getting your own seed goes, you'll want to be sure that the seed heads are, at least partially dry, like the 2 bottom ones you're seeing there. Those are, more in a ready state for it. You can even have them stay longer if you like. But at this point, you can snip those off. You can cut them, right behind the flower itself. You can go further down. So if you're deadheading them in that case, you'll get more blooms coming up, of course. But this is just to show you right here how you'd cut them off so you can get to collect the seeds. And then you would just put them, like on a paper towel or something to have them dry out some more. And to snip them off, just to say that it's good to have a nice sharp pair of pruners, and I like to clean mine with rubbing alcohol or even hydrogen peroxide so we don't spread disease from one plant to the other. And I did want you to see that even though they look dry at this point, they're still not ready for you to collect the seeds because it's not coming off very easily right there. So they'll need a few more days, and then once that happens, then they'll be in a much ready state for you to just have them come off very easily. And you can see how they're looking right here. So just a little bit more dry time and they should be good to go. And if you're liking this video so far, be sure to give me a thumbs up so you can, send a recommendation out to more people. And just to show you how small those seeds are, guys. And what I will say is that they actually need sunlight for germination. So this is something that we would want to plant very deeply. So I just get some light potting soil. You can even use seed starter mix and just sprinkle them over. And then you can just scratch it very lightly, maybe with your finger or with, like a cultivator, but not very deep at all. And I make sure the soil is moist before, and then I just go ahead and add them on there. And then typically what you would want to do is to plant them like, maybe in the fall. I'd say about 8 weeks before your first frost date. That way they'll come up a little bit, they'll rest, and then they'll come back up again in the spring. Or you can do them in the spring after your last frost date. So I just spritz them with that bottle there, and that should be enough to keep them. If it is in the springtime, I think maybe you could have a cold snap. You can just get one of these to cover them over, once the danger of frost has passed. If because the weather can go back and forth sometimes. And you can adjust, how much air comes in and out by just turning it like that. And you can get these at the dollar store. So they're pretty inexpensive and it's a good protection. So this is what they will look like when they start coming up from seeds. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I do get rabbits in my yard and I really don't mind them. And it's possible they can eat the young seedlings. I'd say it might be best to protect them at that stage. But once they get established, same thing for the deer as well too. If you get deer in your area, you'll want to cover them until maybe about about 6 inches or so. Then they'll have a little hairs on them and they don't like that, so they won't bother them at all. And like little cages like these are some great options to protect them that early in the season so they can, be okay. And once they come up, they'll be pretty good to go. And of course, always read your reviews. I'll link this in the description box below for you. And I just wanted to invite you to subscribe if you have never done so before. We do garden DIYs, we do garden tours, and we also show you what's going on at the garden centers and just go over tips that we've learned from and others as well, so we can all have a wonderful gardening experience. And tapping the bell twice helps to get you notified. And thank you so much to our channel members. The way you support our channel, it really means so much to us. So let's talk a little bit more about our wonderful black-eyed Susan. Number 6 would be that goldfinches in particular love the seeds from them. They love the black-eyed Susan seeds and they love the coneflower seeds. Usually I cut mine back I'd say maybe like mid-fall to kind of neaten up the garden a little bit, but you can leave it over winter if you don't mind, and then they'll have something to eat all over that time. Speaking of cutting back, in this recent video I talked about flowers, quite a few of them that if you deadhead them, you can get lots of blooms going right up until fall. And I'll link this at the end for you so you can check it out if you didn't get a chance to do so before. Number 7 is that pollinators love them. Only thing to bear in mind is that because they bloom in the midsummer, if you have early plants that will need to be pollinated, like say maybe like late April or even early May, they would not be ready yet. They'll just be, maybe tiny buds coming out at that point. But it's good to have different pollinator, attracting plants in your garden. The next one is that these plants can be grown in containers and they can be grown in raised beds. So no matter what size garden you have choices. And just be sure to get good draining potting soil and you should be good to go. If you are growing them in raised beds or, like your flower beds, just be sure again, that you have good draining soil because that's very important to them. They really don't need a lot of nutrition, like a lot of fertilizers and all that. They'll grow in actually poor soil as long as it's fully drained. That's the most important thing. So for us, we'll just use like 1 part raised bed mix to 2 parts garden soil because there is some food in the raised bed mix and that will be enough to feed them. let's talk about caring for them right now. So even though they're pretty low maintenance, they're pretty drought tolerant, they don't need a lot of food, there's still things that we will need to do just to ensure that these plants will be their best for us, because, we still have to take care of them. And just look how gorgeous this is. We certainly want to get the best from these beautiful plants. And one main thing that affects these plants would be like powdery mildew, but only under certain situations. So like these, they're very pretty, they're blooming a lot, but they're actually under a tree. I'm not sure if you can see the tree trunk back there. So they're not getting that 6 hours of sunlight that they really need, because it really helps them to be healthier and stronger. If the plant is weaker, you'll have things coming in. So like neem oil, you can always use those to spray over them if this is happening to yours. I'd say spray it in the evening so you're not, spraying like, bees and other things like that. And just treat them with it and they should be pretty good to go. Water is another thing that kind of helps to prevent things like that from happening, where you will just water the roots of the plant, like at the base of the plant, if you're doing it especially in the evenings. If it's in the morning and the leaves get wet, the heat of the day tends to cause the water to evaporate, so it's not as strong a factor, but still something to bear in mind. Also, you'll want to try to space them out when you're planting them out so that you're not too close together, especially if you're buying them like at the garden center, they're already big. You kind of have an idea what you're working with. So you'll just spread them out, and then that way enough airflow goes through and it's going to help them. But you can always go in and, trim them out a little bit just to make sure there's enough space between them as they get larger. You can always divide them too, so you get more out of them. So the main takeaways from them for them is to make sure that they have enough sunlight so that they can be as healthy as possible. To be sure that you have proper draining soil for them and they don't need to be overfed. And watering is not, they don't need a lot, just water the base of the plant if you can. I know sometimes you can avoid it because you maybe have a sprinkler system or something, but if you're going to use a sprinkler system, then it's good to just do it in the morning, so that way it will evaporate off. So there's so many things to love about this wonderful plant. So from the ones you have seen, guys, let me know which one was your favorite. I'd also love to know if you've ever grown any of these before, or if you'd consider doing it after watching this video. We love reading your comments, so let me know what's going on so we can even develop further on this. So I just wanted to say thank you all so much to our channel members and those of you who share our videos out with those that love gardening. And if this is your first time here, I hope you'll consider subscribing, because gardening is just such a wonderful experience, whether you're growing flowers or you're growing fruits and veggies. It's all so rewarding. There's so many different things to gain from it. So thank you all so much for watching. Happy gardening, and I do hope to see you in the next one. Take care.